Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Friday Live on this Friday, April the 26th, 2024. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Fiona Lukeis coming to you live, as I do, at approximately this time every Friday, Thursday if you're in the US, and the middle of the night if you're in the UK. I'm coming here live on Facebook and YouTube. So if you're out there hearing this or listening, please let me know, and feel free to say hi and let me know where you're listening from. As always, I'll just I'll let the feed have a few minutes to kind of filter through so that people know that I'm here. And as always, I will be answering some questions today that have been sent in. There's a few questions here, so I will do my best to get through as many of those as I can. But if you are listening live, obviously you are very welcome to ask me a question, and I will answer that for you. I'll prioritize your question because you're here with me live. All right. But otherwise, I'll go through the questions that I have here. So anyone who's out there just joining me, like I said, feel free to say hi. Let me know where you're listening from, and I will bring some of these questions up. It is a very grey day here in Melbourne. Hi, Shani. Hello. See, there's someone listening to me in YouTube. I always love to know there's someone in YouTube land. Thank you so much for saying hi, darling. So I appreciate that. And anyone else there who wants to say hi, let me know. Like I said, I've had a really busy day today, so I normally have a chance to have a quick look through some of the questions and check them, but you are literally seeing me. I will be flying straight off the I haven't had time to check anything. So this is going to be me coming to you, reading a question and going, okay, let's go. So whilst I'm just pulling those questions up, if anyone out there has a question they want to if they want to ask me something, let me know. Otherwise, I am going to oh, hang on. No. My assistant hang on one second. She's not in today, and I think she's left me the wrong question link. Hang on. I'll have to go back to next week. All right. 1 second. Sorry, guys. Okay. I'm not sure that this is a question, but this is someone's just kind of sent this in. It's more of a statement, but I think this is something that's probably important to address, and it's certainly worth addressing, because I know that this happens to a lot of us. One thing I will say, and in case this is going on for you guys, there are a very large number of people who come to me or send me messages or emails or whatever, reach out to me, who feel like they've been blindsided in the fact that their partner has just walked out with no warning. They didn't see it coming. They had no idea that things were that bad or things were on the cards. So people feel quite blindsided. So I just want to say, if that is you, if you've had that experience, I really want you to know you're not alone. It's happening a lot, and I think there's a number of reasons, obviously, for why these things happen. So I can't sort of say that I can't say there's a general rule of thumb around anything. Life is very personal to each and every one of us, and there's a number of reasons why things like that happen. But I guess I just wanted to put it out there because I know it can be terrifying and lonely, and there's all kind of emotions that come up for someone if you are that person that's been blindsided, where someone's just got up one day and said, I'm done, I'm out, I'm leaving, right? So if that is you, I guess what's important, and it's one of the things that I think is so important for all of us, and I think one of the lovely things about the understanding that I teach is we're looking in the direction of sameness amongst humans, and there's way, way, way more sameness than there are differences. Way more, okay? Way more. I could talk about that for hours, honestly, the sameness that is there amongst us. And There's something very comforting when we see the sameness in one another. Very comforting. Because we always have a higher level of suffering about something when we feel separate from the whole. Okay? Because human beings have an innate need for connection. And you only need to look at a newborn baby to see that they are just born connected. And so when we feel disconnected, when we feel separate from the whole, and that's when it feels like there's something wrong with us, or there's something about us that's not right. We feel separate from the whole. Our level of suffering goes up exponentially. One of the lovely things about this understanding is people start to see how normal they are, truly, how normal they are, how common their situation is, how the way they may have handled something is something that many, many people have done, that they're not broken, they don't need fixing, there's nothing missing. There's just a misunderstanding around how we function psychologically that has then created, behavior, assumptions, emotions that reflect that. And so when people start to see this is where one of the reasons why mental load starts to fall away. People feel calmer, they feel more grounded, comfortable in their own skin. And then from there, we're a lot more confident. We find it easier to have those kind of conversations that we've been perhaps pushing under the rug, ignoring, walking on eggshells around, trying to kind of micromanage and overthink. So there's this massive, I guess what I'm trying to say, this enormous ripple effect that comes when people see this, that goes into every single area of their lives and contributes to this wonderful sense of groundedness, presence, calm, peace, lightness of being. Okay? I can't tell you how important a feeling of lightness of being is. To me, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. I really mean that, to know what that feels like, to know where to look for that, and to know that I can have that at any time in my life is something I find priceless. I can't put a price on. So I guess what I want to say to those of you, if you have been blindsided, if you're someone where your partner has just got up one day and said, I'm done, I'm out, and they won't even talk about it. They won't talk to you. They won't discuss it. They're either angry and shut down or wherever they are. I really want you to know this is far more common than you may realize. You're not alone. It happens to an awful lot of people. There are a lot of people who reach out to me each and every day where they have had that experience. And I just think knowing that can be very comforting. Okay? Very, very comforting for people. This is happening to more and more people. And there are more and more people coming to me saying, I just did not see that coming. I really thought we were doing okay. I mean, I thought we had a couple of issues, but I did not see what has just unfolded coming my way. So I just wanted to put that out there, because sometimes it can feel like you're the only one, that there's something you've done diabolically wrong, and you're the only one having this experience. So I just want you to know you're not alone, and it is way more common than you realize. Okay, so getting back to this statement that's been sent to me, it's more of a statement than a question. Someone sent this in to me saying, hi, Fiona, it may be too late for my husband and I. He has lived away from home for nearly 2 years due to work. When he comes home every second weekend, it is awkward. We both feel it. Our young kids notice it too. And then this person said, I'm suspecting my husband will not be interested in any advice as he has given up on our marriage. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of this here, but a couple of things. Hey, Marie, can you repair from that if they come back? Yes. Yes, Marie, you can. Absolutely you can. And it's easier than you think. One of the things that I just want to point out here now with this statement, and one of the reasons I've read it out. Now, obviously, I don't know any more than what's just been sent to me. All right. I've got no idea. I don't know any more than what's just been sent to me. So I'm going to read this out again. Hi, Fiona. It may be too late for my husband and I. He's lived away from home for nearly 2 years due to work. When he comes home every second weekend, it is awkward. We both feel it. Our young kids notice it too. I'm suspecting my husband will not be interested in any advice as he has given up on our marriage. Now, I just want to point out a couple of things. Hey, Nathan. Hi, honey. Thanks for saying hi. I really appreciate that. I really do. Hello, hello, hello. I know it's late for you guys now because of the whole daylight savings thing. I really think I'm going to have to make my lives a bit earlier to make it a little bit more sustainable for some of you guys, especially in the East Coast, because what is it, like 9 or 10 o'clock at night there for you? Anyway, I guess what I want to say about this is there's a lot of assumptions being, I guess, that I'm reading here. So often what can happen, if your husband, and we would call that in Australia a FIFO worker. That's a FIFO worker. So that FIFO means fly in, fly out. They're a fly in, fly out worker. And there's lots of people in that situation. I've worked with many couples who are in that situation, and there's lots of different reasons why people are FIFO workers. Okay, so I'm not sure what you call it overseas, but that's what we refer to it here in Australia. So maybe they work in the mines here. We have a very big mining community and a big mining workforce at more at the top end of Australia. So or central and top end of Australia. So they will live on site for maybe 3 weeks and then come home for a week, or they'll live on site for 2 weeks and come home for 4 days and then come back again. So they're constantly in and out. So you have that sense of, you're at home, you're looking after the kids, you're doing everything because your partner is, and there are women who are doing this and men looking after kids. So it's happening on both sides, but it's probably more common to see that with men. So you're there at home doing what you're doing. They're flying out and they're flying in. They're missing you guys. They're feeling probably a little isolated and lonely because when they're working, it's just sleeping and working, right? And they're missing that quality family time. So for some people, and people handle this in different ways, but for some people that can create a lot of thinking. And when we've got a lot on our minds, we don't do so well. We tend to withdraw. We tend to shut down a little when we've got a lot on our minds. And so, maybe because this has been going on for a while and you two aren't doing the whole reconnection bit so well. So they go to work, they fly out to work, they're away for 3 weeks or however long, they come home, maybe connection, the way you kind of reintegrate, and you haven't talked about that enough, to make sure that you do create that connection when you come home, because remember, connection is the lifeblood of everything. Maybe there hasn't been enough conversation around that. It started to get a little bit awkward. People start to, goodwill drops, people talk less, they share less. And so then all of a sudden it doesn't feel good, right? And so when we don't feel good, and this is just such a human thing, like I was saying before, there's way more sameness among people than there are differences. And this is one of those things that's a sameness amongst all humans. When people don't feel good, they don't communicate very well. They overthink. They're not so comfortable in their own skin. They feel insecure. They feel disconnected. The mental load increases. They're a lot more wary of one another, so they stop sharing. They stop reaching out, right? Because they're kind of in self-defense mode. They stop seeing that each other has each other's best interests at heart. And it starts to feel more combative. And so then when that feeling doesn't feel good, you start to dread them coming home. They start to dread coming home, even though they miss the family and they want to see them. And even though you miss them and want to see them, then there's this awkwardness. And you're kind of then waiting for the other person to do something. And then after a while, no one does anything. So then people start assuming things. Oh, they don't really care. They don't even want to be here. They're just going through the motions. And then, maybe they're the person who's flying in, flying out, thinking, oh, they're not even excited to see me. That they don't even need me anymore. What am I? I'm just someone who, earns money, comes home, and then leaves again. I don't have a place here. And so this is what I mean by mental load and assumptions grow and grow. And nobody really talks or says anything. And then we look out from that reality and we find all the evidence as to why that's true, because we're great at evidence building. And then that becomes more and more the position. And then people make this decision, I think they've checked out. I don't even think they want to be here. But what you don't realize is there's a whole lot of assumptions going on. And it just sounds to me, but again, I've only got that one sentence to go on, that there's a lot of assumptions here. And so, the great thing about, I think, having this understanding that I teach is that people stop operating through that lens. They start operating through a lens of curiosity. They start operating through a lens of holding space, wanting to generate something else. They start becoming aware of what they're generating, and they start emitting a different feeling. Now, when you emit a different feeling and you create goodwill, that naturally generates something else in someone else, because when we feel good, we communicate well. When we feel good, we're a lot calmer. When we feel good, we're more curious. When we feel good, we're more playful. When we feel good, we're generous. When we feel good, we're patient. When we feel good, we look forward to coming home, right? Now, this is true of all human beings, right? Because this is just the way human beings work. So when you understand this, you start holding space for what feels good rather than operating out of an assumption. So it just seems to me like there's a lot of assuming going on here. And this is where, in one of those cases where I would strongly advocate that one person can make a difference here. One person. Okay, one person can make a difference here. Now, obviously, this lady has reached out, so I'm going to say to you, if you're listening to this, you can make a difference here. You really can. You'd be amazed at what's possible, at what you have the power to generate, because we are far more powerful than we can ever truly understand. Far, far, far more powerful. And that's another thing that people see when they do my program, when they learn this. They see how powerful they are, which they find exciting and they find empowering, and they want to go out and generate something else. And they can see they have way more choice over a situation than it actually looks like based on where they are right now. Okay. So if you are listening to this, honey, I really want you to know you have far more power here than you realize. The fact that he is coming home, right, tells me he hasn't completely checked out, because he's actually coming back, and he's there every second weekend. All right. So what I want you to know is it doesn't necessarily mean that your marriage can't be turned around or things can't change. I just want you to know you have a lot more power than you realize, and that you don't even need him to take advice. It can just be about what your level of understanding, what you generate, what you see. I can't tell you how powerful we are, how powerful you are. All right. May not mean the end, may not mean he's checked out, but you could be stuck in this just awkward pattern that nobody knows how to break. And you absolutely can be the one to break that. All right. Anyway, I hope that helps. Now, next question. I'm just getting to this one. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Hi, Fiona. I've purchased and listened to your audiobook and podcasts. All great information that I truly resonate with. My problem is understanding where deal breakers come in. I know we are essentially supposed to let our partners be who they are, but is it right for me to have boundaries that I can't have crossed? Of course. Of course, it's okay for you to have boundaries. Of course, absolutely. Yeah, of course. I mean, I would say it is very, very, very important that that you honor who you are. I do feel that that's one of the things that we need to do here is honor who we are. And a part of honoring who we are is listening to our own truth and having boundaries in place. But boundaries come when our mind is clear, okay? Boundaries and the ability to operate from a place of boundaries comes from clarity of mind. When your mind is clear, putting boundaries in place is easy. When your mind is not clear, we overthink it. It becomes difficult, complicated, and there's 1,000 reasons why you can or you can't, and we just get stuck. Okay. Oh, it's almost 9 p.m. there, is it, Nathan? Okay, yeah. I definitely need to change this time. Yes, all my relationships are way better with the understanding Fiona teaches and relatable. One person can be a change agent. The way we show up causes huge ripples. Oh, thank you, Nathan. That's a beautiful comment. I'm going to pop it up there for people to see what he said. Thank you, Nathan. That's very, very, thank you. That means the world to me for you to hear you say that. It really, really does. Thank you so much. I so appreciate that. Okay, so last September, my wife of 10 years and I started swinging. Turns out I can only be monogamous. So in other words, it didn't work for you, and the lifestyle didn't work for me at all. She reluctantly agreed to go back to our monogamous relationship, but has retained 2 males she texts with as friends. For various reasons personal to her, she likes their presence. I'm not thrilled, but I know she's loyal and would never cheat, and the conversations are strictly platonic. I don't ask her questions because I don't want to be reminded of her promiscuity and do want to trust her. We have an open phone policy, but I don't look. Okay. I feel she's feeling a need, albeit unconventional. I know she'd like to have friends with benefits relationships with men, and she'd be okay with me doing that with women as well. I don't want that and find it hurtful that she does. She says not to compare, and all this has nothing to do with her love for me. This is where I draw the line. I don't feel letting her have friends with benefits is something I'd ever feel good about, and that is not a gift I will ever be able to give her. She's reluctantly fine with it because she has to be. Am I wrong? Even though you say there are no right or wrongs, good or bads. Any insight you have would be appreciated. I guess in a nutshell, how do we let someone be who they are while honouring our boundaries? Can we have deal breakers where things go too far? She still texts with 2 men and she knows I hate it, but would rather make herself feel good by continuing versus stopping to meet my needs. What do I do? Okay, great question. I guess there's a couple of things here. Obviously, in a relationship, in a marriage, we learn more and more about each other. We grow. We discover things about ourselves because human beings are continuously changing, expanding, and growing. Okay, we are. Human beings are continuously changing, expanding, and growing. Like anything within the spheres of nature, and we are a part of nature. Okay, nature is always continually changing, isn't it? Right? Mother Nature is always continuously changing. So within the spheres of the sphere of nature, and we're a part of that, we're continually changing, growing, and expanding. And people are allowed to change and grow because that is one of the whole reasons why we're here. All right. So it's not unusual for someone to discover something like this. Hey, I didn't realize this, but I really like to be in an open marriage. I'd like to have an open marriage. And there's plenty of people who successfully do have an open marriage. So this is what I mean by there's no right or wrongs in terms of how we do life. There really isn't. If being in an open marriage is something that works for you guys and you want to operate that way, then go for it, right? That's what I mean by there's no right or wrong. But obviously what's happened here is you guys have tried this out as an experiment, or you've tried to see what it was like. You've both gone in with an open mind and you've realized I actually can't do this, right? She's realized actually I really like doing this. This really works for me. So at that point where she's discovered something about herself that she didn't know, and you're not sure where to go with that and what to do with it. So you find yourself navigating new ground. You find yourself navigating new ground. And I guess the first thing is here. Number one, you knowing when you have thinking you can trust and when you can't, when you have clarity of mind, because your thinking's going to ebb and flow around this. And this is why I call thought the greatest con artist on earth. And you're going to have moments where you're going to have clarity around this. And you're going to have moments when you don't. And so you want to make sure you're navigating that really, really well. Okay. Because the most important thing that you want to keep here is the lines of communication open. Because this is something that I think you're going to be talking about moving through together on a at least for now, on a moment of now or day by day basis for now. Okay. So that's the first thing. You want to make sure that you're in a great headspace, that you have clarity of mind, you're navigating your thinking well, so that you know when you're in the right place to navigate this with her and when you are not. I cannot tell you, just that alone is so crucially, fundamentally important in every aspect of our lives, but especially when you're navigating something emotional within our relationships, all right? Because our emotions are very misleading. Okay, emotions are very misleading. I've dedicated a whole module to this inside of my Relatable program because emotions are very misleading and they're very confusing, and we misread them and misunderstand them all the time, which causes massive issues for people. Huge. Okay. So this is the first thing I want to say. You've really got to make sure the lines of communication are open. You're navigating your thinking well. You know when you've got clarity of mind, so that you are able to keep having what I would call a meeting of the minds around this. Okay, so you're both able to have what I would call a meeting of the minds around this. The other thing that I want to point out here, you've said that she is reluctantly fine with it because she has to be. You're taking on board now something that doesn't belong to you, and that's now getting caught up in the mix, and it's affecting what your own clarity. You've put it out there that you prefer to be in a monogamous relationship, that friends with benefits and swinging doesn't work for you. That's what you've put out there, right? What the other person does with that is up to them. Now, she obviously loves you, and she's made a decision that she will put that down because she loves you more. And so she said, okay, I don't love it. I would prefer to have friends with benefits. That would be my preference, but I love you. So I'm going to respect what you're saying, and I'm going to, and I'm not going to do that. Now, what you can't afford to do if you want to keep things going well between the two of you is get caught up in whether she's reluctantly doing it or not. The fact of the matter is she's doing it. Okay. And that's on her. But you get caught up in, oh, it's reluctant. She doesn't really want to. All of a sudden, you no longer have clarity. You're overthinking it. You're worrying about how she's feeling, and you're throwing that into the mix. And that is just adding to your own level of suffering around this. This is very, very important. People need to be really good at, again, this is something I talk about a lot in my relatable program, about staying in their own lanes. People merge lanes and then get into all sorts of problems, right? We do. When we've really got to be really good at staying in our own lanes. So if she's struggling with it, that's on her. You don't need to take that on board and add that to your mental load. In fact, that would not be helpful, because it's going to have you feeling resentful. Okay. And then you're going to be coming from that place with her. So this is very important. The other thing that I would be saying is, it's not about you being wrong. There's no wrong. It's totally okay to have a deal breaker, right? It's totally okay to have a deal breaker. If that's a deal breaker for you, that's totally okay. I remember years and years ago when I was being mentored by this wonderful couple in the States. Lovely people. I used to fly over there. I spent a year being mentored by them, and I flew over there I think 4 times in the space of a year, and would go and live with them, and anyway, they were working with couples and had been for a long time. I remember sitting around the table with them one night, and we were talking about deal breakers. And because they were talking about how they'd had to navigate certain things together in their marriage and their relationship. And we were laughing, and I said, and I kept playing devil's advocate. I said, okay, but what about if your husband got like hugely fat, like so fat that, he couldn't get out of bed, he couldn't fit through the door, that he had to be intravenously fed? Like, would that be a deal breaker? And she was sitting there going, I don't think so. I don't think it would be. Like we were talking about. I said, well, what about if they gambled all of your life savings away? Would that? And she's like, no, because I think I always see the well-being in my husband. I always see who he's capable of. So I don't think that would be. So we were just mucking around and laughing around this and thinking about things like deal breakers. And like, it's totally okay to have a deal breaker. There's nothing wrong with that. This is what I mean about honoring yourself. Okay. You got to honor yourself. Sometimes we struggle to honor our deal breakers because it might mean the end of a relationship. And so we don't want the relationship to end. So we don't honor our deal breaker. It gets overridden a lot. The line becomes blurred. And then we feel unfulfilled, frustrated, and dissatisfied. And we don't realize it's because we're not honoring ourselves, or operating from a place of fear. So that deal breaker, or that line in the sand that you have around something, never really gets put in place. And so that's when people become very dissatisfied, frustrated, bitter, angry, all of those sorts of things. So honoring yourself is very, very, very important. I really do believe that. But it's the way in which you do it. It's the space you come from when it comes to having a deal breaker, when it comes to honoring yourself. You can't do it from a place of rigidity and bully and anger. That's not the place to do it. All right. Now, what I find happens is when people are not comfortable in their own skin, and most people are not, to be perfectly honest with you, nowhere near as comfortable as they could be. People are often trying to people please or guess what someone else is doing or manage someone else's emotions, or like there's a number of reasons why or ways in which this shows up. But when you're comfortable in your own skin, you have a lot of trust in the fact that no matter what happens, you'll be okay. You have a deep knowingness of life. You have a deep knowingness of yourself. And so you show up from a place where there's a lot of groundedness and calm around your deal breaker. Okay. And so then it doesn't become this thing that's based on anger and frustration and all of those other things that then make it kind of toxic. All right. So you're absolutely allowed to have a deal breaker. It's okay to have boundaries. It's just the space you come from as you share those boundaries, create those boundaries, generate those boundaries. Okay. It can't be, well, it can happen, but it just really erodes trust and goodwill. And at least I've seen that in people coming to me where they're like, I'm not putting up with this anymore. I've had enough of this, and then it becomes really, really challenging from there. Okay. So it's totally okay to have boundaries. It's totally okay for you to have a deal breaker. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Everything is a reflection of you. So if you're comfortable with your deal breaker, if you're comfortable with your boundary, all right, then it'll be a much easier conversation. So this is why you being comfortable in your own skin and you being clear on what matters to you is so important. So you said, I guess in a nutshell, how do we let someone be who they are while honoring our boundaries? Well, easy. You can let someone be who they are. You can say, this is what matters to me. This is what I need. And then you see where the chips lie from there, what the fallout of that is. And then you see what you want to do about the fallout of that. Okay. It sounds like she's sort of saying, all right, but I'd like to text these people, but I'm not going to go any further. I'm not going to go any further than that. Is that okay with you? And you might turn around and say, at this stage it is. I'll let you know when it's not. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated, right? You can keep it really, really simple. At this stage, it's okay. I don't feel 100% comfortable, but if you're okay with me, at any time saying, hey, I just want to check that message, and as you say, an open phone policy, and that you feel comfortable enough to use it from time to time, you're not going to do it every 5 minutes or anything, then I think it's going to be one of those things that you navigate together, moment of now, day by day, okay? And so it's like, as I said at the very start of this live, human beings are constantly changing, evolving, and growing because we are a part of nature, and that's the way nature works. And so nothing is necessarily set in stone. But so being able to say to someone, look, I'm comfortable with it now. I can't guarantee I won't be later, but let's just see where we are from now. This works for me as long as we keep the lines of communication open, as long as, you know what I mean? I feel like I can talk to you about it. You can talk to me about it. Let's see where we end up from there. Anyway, I hope that helps. It's a really great question. I often get questions like that sent to me, where people are like, how do we navigate something like this? And I think for a lot of people, and again, this is something I do deal with a lot, and we talk about a lot in Relatable, understanding how to meet a moment of now, and that life is lived moments of now by moments of now, really understanding that is fundamentally important as you're moving through something like this. Most people, in fact, I would say 99% of people do not live life like that. Most people are running away from the past, trying to fix the past and solve the future. They're not meeting life moments of now. So because of that, they are emotionally overburdened. They overthink. They don't have the emotional bandwidth to navigate life moments of now by moments of now. And so they're always in that fight and flight mode. We are not meant to be in our intellectual mind as much as we are. We are in, I mean, look, I'm making this figure up, right? It's not like I've done some scientific study. So true disclosure, I'm literally making this up, but this is how it feels to me based on what I see with the people that I work with and the people that come to me, either through my relatable program or as private clients, etc., that we are in our intellectual mind at the moment about 90 to 95% of the time, and about 5%, and I think I'm even being generous saying that, are we in that other aspect of ourselves, which is where wisdom lies, intuition, our emotional bandwidth or emotional intelligence aspect of ourselves, at that part of our mind where we get fresh ideas, fresh thinking. We're more philosophical and calmer and grounded, not so logical and factually based. That having aspect to that part of your mind is very, 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 very important, especially if you want to be someone who is good at relationships, who is relatable, who creates connection, who gets over things quickly, who communicates well. That is fundamentally important. And I think one of the big issues that people face right now is we are so busy-minded. We're in that intellectual, logical aspect of our brain, 90 to 95, and I think I'm even being generous saying that, % of the time. And we are not meant to be there anywhere near to the degree that we are. And so because of that, people's minds are full. They've got no bandwidth. They overthink everything. They're stressing about the future. They're stressing about the past. They're worrying about the future. And so they don't have capacity to meet life where it's best met, which is moments of now. Truly, that is the best place to meet life. We are beautifully designed to meet life that way. We really, really are. Now, when you see that and you deeply know it, it is a fantastic place to be in relationship from. Fantastic. And I don't just mean with someone else. I mean your relationship with life, your relationship with you, like those fundamental key things. I cannot tell you how good that feels. And that's part of accessing that lightness of being, which I was talking about right at the start of this live today. Okay. So, anyway, look, I've got this. I just want to say, I like to be really real on these things. I have hit some sort of filter, and I don't know how I've done it, some sort of beauty filter, because my skin looks so smooth and perfect, and I do not have smooth, perfect skin. So I'm pressing this thing. Every time I go live, I realize that blooming filter's still on. I'm like, I don't actually look like this. So I just, full disclosure, because I think it's important to be real, my skin looks like perfect. I do not look like this normally. So I'm going to make sure I've turned that thing off next time I jump on here, because I feel like I'm looking at myself I'm like, I don't even look like that. I don't know why they feel like they've got to put these things on. I just want to be me, and I want to be real. To me, that is so fundamentally important. I cannot tell you enough. So if you're looking at me going, wow, her skin's really great, what does she use? Some sort of beauty filter has been switched on here, because my skin does not look like this. Anyway, thank you all very much for listening. As always, it's a pleasure to spend this time with you. I will see you next Friday. Hey, Shane, thanks for saying hi. Appreciate it. So appreciate it. Are you saying 100% spot on about my skin, or what I just said? Hey, Angela, darling, thank you so much. So much love to you, honey. My goodness, you're in the UK. It's got to be like some hideously late time of night for you. All right, everybody, lots of love to you all. I hope that helps. If you have a question, send it through to hello@fionalukeis.com.au and I'll answer it for you. Or if you want to know more about my amazing relatable program and joining our fantastic community and learning all this awesome, cool stuff, you can book a call with me, and I'll tell you all about it. I'll put the link here. Thank you, Deezer, darling. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Lots of love, everyone. See you. Bye.